That comes from the Oliver machines, which do have a clamshell, and I use that because most of my American friends don't understand what I mean by that. That head on the Oliver I wouldn't use. It's completely different, although this is a clamshell head. This is better engineering. It's important to understand that Oliver bought a patented German head, and the Germans sold it to the Americans, and that's where the Oliver clamshell head came from. But I'll show you the distinct differences. So when I say that there is a clamshell, it's not in a little slot for those ones not following along. There's actually a plate that comes off. Now here, and that's what holds the knives. On the Oliver, just the nuts holding that plate on held that knife in place. It's not the case here. Also, Oliver had bolts. This is studs and nuts. So you're not threading in and out of the head, stripping the nut. If you damage something and just replace a stud, you're not damaging those. And so the Oliver clamshell heads, they were all knackered, over tightened and stuff like that. These ones the knives are locked in a little keyway with a little set screw, and they cannot eject if the plate is not tight enough for them to slip. So I would never use that. The other important thing, and I'll show you that later, is the plates are actually cut on an angle and cut through a bias of the thing so that the knife is actually on a skew and is a skewing cut. The Oliver is not a skewing cut. Now here you can see part of the plate for the molding section, which you'll notice does not upset the jointer knives. And this plate just comes off, and basically what you're seeing here is a modification from what were square head cutters that you would bolt square head tooling onto. That was the very first. David in Sweden would know what I'm talking about. This is a very unique head, and it was patented by, I'm sure the Swedes had similar ones, patented by England, okay? Specifically Wadkin. Wadkin had another type of plate like this, but this one has jacking screws and the molding capability. Now what you would do is you would take what I call square head molding knives. This one's a ground to pattern. In other words, the pattern of your cut is ground into it, and you only sharpen that face. So you're never resharpening a pattern, you're only sharpening a flat spot. So you would stick, these are dovetailed, you stick those in, you put your iron in here, and you bolt on your knives. Now, I would never suggest anybody do that. And so what I have done is manufactured these. These, my friend, will hold my my standard pin knife cutting tooling and index it. So you can see that now indexes. There's no, okay? This, in turn, would go onto here. You would drop those on, and I'm using balanced nuts, and you can clamp that into place. And now I can run regular European tooling in this cutter block. Now what's good about this head is the fact that I can take the molding knives out, and as you can see there's a big gap here. That's because these tables will slide open, and they'll need to because your projection of this is obviously going to hit the edge of the table. Embedded steel lips into the, you can barely maybe make them out, which, you know, some of the older models of American machines had cast iron here, and you'll see them all chipped. So, and surface ground, of course. So that is the difference. I'm taking this head apart, going to get these knives out. They're all chipped, clean the gunk out and make sure. You'll notice that it's perfectly balanced as well because there's a 9 stamp there and a 9 stamp there, so you can't even mix these up. So there's a few things I need to check. Sometimes if they over tighten, there'll be a bulge at the back side. The mistake there would be filing that bulge off. If we file that bulge off, we're removing metal. And when we remove, this head has been dynamically balanced. So we don't want to remove any metal. There are ways to do and make repairs for that. If you do file the backside off, you will need to machine in there to make sure that that's the same balance and you don't have a hollow on that side. But this one looks to be in perfect shape. No bulges at all. I'll check that with the other iron. The other great advantage of this type of head is, as I said, the plate here is thinner at this end and thicker at this end. That's what makes it a skew. But what also it does is, because my knife is in a different position in the circle, it actually changes the rake angle. When it's way on the outside, it's rather sharp. When it's closer to the center, it's more like it's a scraping cut. So this side of the head could technically be called the hardwood angle head, and that's the softwood angle head. So it's a very, very interesting head. As I said, for this machine was a special order. It was a special order to have the skewed knife, and then again, a special order to have the removable plate for molding knives. So thanks for asking, Texas, and hope that was educational.